families, and welcome back to Black History for Us All. I'm Mrs. Deb, and I'm so glad you're here. Every day this month, we explore the lives of Black change makers whose impact deserve to be remembered. Because Black history isn't just for some of us, it's for all of us. In our last episode, we honored Daisy Bates, the fearless activist who led the fight for school desegregation in the U.S. Today, we shift our focus across the Atlantic to the United Kingdom, where one man stood up against racism and fought for civil rights in Britain. He led one of the most important boycotts in British history and played a key role in ending racial discrimination. Today, we honor Paul Stephenson. Paul Stephenson was born May 6, 1937 in Essex, England. As a Black man growing up in post-war Britain, he faced racism at every turn. Schools, workplaces, and even public spaces were steeped in discrimination, and opportunities for Black people were extremely limited. Despite these barriers, Paul was determined to succeed. He joined the Royal Air Force, or RAF, as a young man, gaining discipline and leadership skills that would later help him in his fight for justice. After leaving the RAF, Paul moved to Bristol, a city with a growing Black population, but also with deeply rooted racial discrimination. One of the biggest injustices, the Bristol Omnibus Company. It refused to hire Black or Asian bus drivers. In 1963, Paul Stephenson and his allies organized the Bristol Bus Boycott, inspired by Rosa Parks and the Montgomery Bus Boycott in the U.S. For 4 months, people refused to ride the buses until the company ended its racist hiring practices. The boycott worked. In August 1963, the Bristol Omnibus Company finally lifted its ban on hiring Black and Asian workers. This was a major civil rights victory in Britain and proved that peaceful protests could bring real change. But Paul wasn't done. He continued to fight for racial equality, working to end discrimination in housing, employment, and in public spaces. Paul Stephenson's activism helped lead to Britain's first Race Relations Act of 1965, which made racial discrimination illegal in public spaces. This law laid the foundation for future anti-discrimination protections in the UK. But Paul knew that laws weren't enough. Attitudes needed to change too. He spent decades educating people about racial equality, social justice, and Black British history. Paul Stephenson's activism changed the course of British history. In recognition of his contributions, he was awarded an OBE, Order of the British Empire, by the Queen in 2009. He once said, "Racism is like a disease. It must be challenged every day." His dedication reminds us that the fight for equality is never over, and it is up to each of us to continue pushing for justice. Paul Stephenson's legacy teaches us the power of speaking up and standing strong. Here's how we can honor his work. Challenge discrimination when you see it. Speak up, just like Paul did. Learn about civil rights struggles around the world. Racism isn't just an American issue. Support policies that promote equality. Change happens when we take action. Want to keep learning? Download today's free printable at heymrsdeb.com/podcast. And if you love this podcast, help us to keep sharing these stories by donating at paypal.biz/heymrsdeb. Next time, we meet a woman whose courage and activism helped secure voting rights for Black Americans. Get ready to learn about Fannie Lou Hamer. the sharecropper turned activist who shook the nation with her powerful voice. You won't want to miss it.